Okay, so tonight we're ready to move on to Elokai, Neshama shenasata bi tahirahi. Interestingly, this bracha does not start with the lashon of Baruch. Tosfos in Brachas Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph discusses why not. There's a fascinating pshat of the Ravid. It's a Tshuvas HaRavid, Siman Mem Dalid, but it's also brought down in a number of other Rishonim. The pshat of the Ravid, why Elokai Neshama does not start with the Nusach of Baruch. You could find it in the Tosfos Harash, in Brachas Daf Samach Amud Beis, and also in Rabbeinu Manoach on the Rambam in Hilchas Tefillah, Perek Zayin Halacha Gimel. A fascinating vart, a biur of the Ravid, why Elokai Neshama does not start with Baruch. And the Ravid says, because it's a bracha hasmucha lechaverta. It's a bracha that's samuch to a previous bracha, and therefore the klal is a bracha hasmucha lechaverta does not start with Baruch. The question is, what is smucha lechaverta? What bracha do you say before Elokai Neshama? Zok the Ravid, it's smucha to the bracha of hamapil, because when you go to sleep at night, you make the bracha of hamapil, or at least you're supposed to, and there's no talking after Hamapil, so then you sleep, and then you wake up, and then you say Elokai Neshama. So since it's a smucha l'chaverta of Hamapil, therefore you don't make a lashon of Baruch, it starts with Elokai Neshama. As a matter of fact, Rabbeinu Manoach says that according to our minhag, that we say Elokai Neshama following Asher Yatzar, following the bracha of Asher Yatzar, then surely it's smucha lechaverta, even if you're not going to want to say this big chiddush that it's smucha lechaverta to the bracha of Hamapil, like the Ravid says, but Rabbeinu Manoach says it is directly smucha lechaverta after the Asher Yatzar, and the Ri Bar Yakar says that that's good for the reason why one is supposed to say Elokai Neshama after Asher Yatzar in order to make it a bracha smucha lechaverta, because even though it's smucha to hamapil, like the Ravid says, the Ri Bar Yakar says, Anu medabrim kama pa'amim beintayim lamaisa. Most people end up speaking sometime between hamapil and Elokai Neshama of the next morning, and therefore it's better to make it directly smucha lechaverta. But according to all these Rishonim, the reason why the bracha of Elokai Neshama doesn't start with a baruch is because it's smucha lechaverta. The nusach of the bracha is Elokai Neshama. Everyone calls it Elokai Neshama, but really there's a big fat comma after Elokai, because Elokai doesn't have a last name. It's Elokai, my Hashem, and then you say the tefillah, Neshama shenasata bi tahirahi. And what does that mean? The neshama that you put inside me is tahira, and that the nusach of Elokai Neshama is brought down in that Gemara in Brachas Daf Samach Amud Beis with a little bit of a variation than the way we have it, but the Iker nusach is there. But the Etzem Yisoid, that the neshama that Hashem put into us is tahira, that Chazal teach us in a very important Gemara in Nida Daf Lamed Amud Beis. It says when a baby leaves his mother's womb, so he's told by a malach, as the malach comes and hits him on his mouth, and that's what makes him forget the Torah. The malach gives him instructions as he enters the world. The child comes into the world with instructions, not instructions to the parents of chinuch, instructions to the children, to the child himself of what he's supposed to do in this world. And the malach says it to him straight: Tehi tzaddik va'al tehi rasha. Let me tell you, my young child, what's your job in this world? You should be a tzaddik and not a rasha. Ve'hevi idea, and you should know, sha'akadosh baruch hu tahar u'misharas of tahirim. Hashem is tahar, whatever that's supposed to mean, whatever mitzias of Hashem is, but that is the epitome of tahara, of purity, and the misharas of the malachim are tahirim. Uneshama shenasan b'cha tahirahi, and the neshama that Hashem gave you is also tahira. So that is the instructions that tells you what to do. Be a tzaddik and not a rasha. But then comes the warning: Im ata meshamra b'tahara. If you keep your neshama tahira, mutav, all will be good. V'im lav hareini loitla mimcha. Then I will take it away from you if you're not roy to stay in this world. If you don't live up to the tahara that your neshama was given you with that level of tahara. So al kapanim, now we're expressing in the morning, which really sets the tone for the day, that the neshama, the shenasata bi, we understand, we recognize, we make this hachraza in the morning that the neshama that you gave me is tahirahi, ata virasa, ata yitzarta. So virasa means you created it, ata yitzarta means that you formed it, and the exact difference between bria and yitzira is brought out by the tzlach, which is of course the noida b'Yehuda. In that Gemara in Brachas, the tzlach in Brachas, Daf Samach Amud Beis says that the difference between bria and yitzira, and this is negea to understand in many different psukim and many different tfilos, zok the tzlach, that the Ramban tells us what bria is. In the very beginning of the Torah, in Bereshis Perek Aleph Pasuk Aleph, the Ramban says, Ein etzleinu b'lashon hakodesh, but Va'oitzas hayesh me'ayin ela lashain bara. The word bara connotes a bria, yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, which happens only by the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's yesh me'ayin. That's a bria, means to create. The creation of something from a non-existence beforehand. That's bria. Yetzira, says the Tzlach, is a lashon of tzura. It's a lashon of forming, a lashon of shaping. So that's after there is something, then you give it a shape, you give it a form, you give it a tzura. So when we say about our neshama that Hashem created it, we say two stages. Ata v'rasa, you created it, yesh me'ayin, like you created anything, yesh me'ayin. And then ata yitzarta, you gave it a form, because as we know, the neshama has a form, a spiritual form, a ruchniistic form, not a physical form. You can't hold on to a neshama, but there is a form. How do we know there's a form? Because the neshama is inside our body. That's the mafli lasos that the Ramah in Siman Vav that we mentioned last week in Asher Yatzar says, that Hashem put a ruchniistic thing, a ruchniistic neshama, into a physical guf. That's a pella, that's mafli lasos. But al kapanim, that's what's going on here, that when we talk about the bria, that means the yesh me'ayin, that Hashem was boirei, our neshama, and then you gave it some sort of form in order to allow it to enter our body. And then the next step is, of course, which means that you breathed it inside of me, that now that it has the tzura, you actually put it inside of me. The Avrohom says that this is based on the pasuk in Bereshis, Perek Beis, pasuk Zayin, Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim, that Hashem breathed into a person his nishmas chaim. So this nishmas chaim, this neshama shenasata b'tayri, we say atan nefachta bi, like the lashon of that pasuk, Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim. Va'ata meshamra b'kirbi, and you guard it, you watch it inside of me. And this is the mafli lasais of Rashi and Tosfos. The other pshat that we mentioned last week in the mafli lasais, Rashi and Tosfos in Brachas Taf Samach say that the fact that our neshama can stay inside our guf, even though our guf is full of nekavim and chalulim, still it doesn't spill out, doesn't leak out. That is the mafli lasais. So basically, what we have then is that Ata nefachta, the fact that you breathed it inside of me, is the mafli lasais of the Ramah. Va'ata meshamra b'kirbi, and the fact that you watch it inside of me and make sure that the neshama stays inside of me and doesn't spill out, that's the mafli lasais of Rashi and Tosfos. So they're both really alluded to over here, but when we talk about these hadraga, these steps of the neshama coming inside of me, first we recognize that it's a neshama tahira, like the Gemara Nida says that the Malach tells every child. We say you created it yesh me'ayin, you gave it some sort of ruchniistic tzura that then it can go into our bodies. Then you blew it into our bodies, ata nefachta bi, and then va'ata meshamra b'kirbi, and you watch it, you guard it that it's able to stay safely inside of me. Then we say va'ata asid litla mimeni, and you eventually will take the neshama away from me. Nobody lives forever. Ula hachzira bi la'asid lavai, and to return it to me in the future. In other words, when it's time for Tchias HaMesim, so then Hashem will return it to us. So on one hand, yes, we're recognizing the sober reality that Ata Asid Litla Mimeni, but we say that Misa doesn't last forever either. Ula Hachzira Bi La Asid Lavai. Reb David Goldberg Shlita, the Rosh Yeshiva in Telz in Cleveland, has a beautiful sefer on Tefillah called Shiras David. And over here in Elokai Neshama, he points out that we say Ata, we say you so many times. Ata V'rasa, Ata Yitzata, Ata Nefachta Bi. Why do we keep saying Ata? To express hakaras hatoiv for each step, for each nekuda. Thank you, Hashem, for creating my neshama. Thank you, Hashem, for giving it a form that it could go into my body. Thank you then for blowing it into my body, and thank you for guarding it. But then we say va'ata asid litla mimeni ula hachzira bi la asid lava. We don't say va'ata tachzirenu li la'asid lavi, that you will be machzir. So why punct in that phrase don't we say the ata? Why do we leave out the ata by ula hachzira bi la'asid lavi? So he says a beautiful pshat, because when we're expressing hakaras hatay for each stage, we're not expressing hakaras hatay for the fact that Hashem is going to take away our neshama one day. That's not the nekuda. The nekuda is va'ata asid litla mimeni ula hachzira bi la'asid lavi, that even though since the chait of Adam Arishain nobody could live forever, there's the gzeira of misa in the world, but still we are confident that you will return on neshama to us. So the va'ata, the hakaras hatayv that we express in this phrase is really going on the lahachzir bi la'asid lavai. Va'ata asid litla mimeni ula hachzir bi la'asid lavai as one connected clause, because it's telling Hashem that we have hakaras hatayv, that even though of course we don't live forever, but thank you for making the concept of tchias hamesim that the misa won't be forever either, and the neshama will be returned to us la'asid lavai. Then we say kol zaman shah neshama b'kirbi, kol zman that we have a neshama inside of us. Moida ani lefanecha, I thank you, Hashem, And the Avrohom says that this is based on the pasuk, or similar to the pasuk that we said today in Hallel, in Tehillim Kuf Tazvav, Loi HaMeisim Yahaluka, V'loi Kol Yardei Duma. The dead people don't have a chance to praise Hashem, to thank Hashem, to express their Akaras HaToiv. But we who are still alive, we are able to bless Hashem, we are able to thank Hashem. So that's what we're saying. Kol Zman that I still have a neshama inside of me, I am able to express the Haidah that we owe HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Hakaras HaToiv. So that's Kol Zman Shanashama Mekirbi Moida Ani Lefanecha. And then who do we express this to? To Hashem. Hashem Elokai Ve'Elokei Avosai. The first time in the day that we say this expression, we spoke about this in our Shiur in the beginning of Shemona Esrei when it says Elokeinu Ve'Elokei Avoseinu. So we'll just repeat it again. Bekitzer, that when we say Hashem Elokai Ve'Elokei Avosai, two basic pshatim. One is from the Avrohom. The Avrohom is coming up at the end of Birchas HaShachar in the Vihira Tzayim Ufanecha, Hashem Elokeinu Ve'Elokei Avoseinu, by the last bracha of the Birchas HaShachar. So the Avrohom says there, B'roiv hatfilos mazkirim schus avos. We mention not just that Hashem is my God, but He is the God of our fathers, because we want to mention the avos as a schus avos. That's a simple pshat why we say Elokai Ve'Elokei Avosai. But it's brought down from the Baal Shem Tov in a number of svarim that bring down Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, a sefer Keser Shem Toiv, another sefer called Likutim Yikarim, and those similar svarim who bring down the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov says that there are two types of ma'aminim in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One person who is a choker and he comes to it on his own. He realizes that there's an Eibishter in the world, and there's another one who's makabelet pashat emunah pshuta. It's rooted in him from his parents, from his grandparents, that he has it b'Mesayra. So the Baal Shem Tov says each one has a certain ma'ila and a chisaron. The one who is chayker and came to it on his own, so he feels it a little more than just the kid who was told that there's a Hashem and just believes it with emunah pshuta. If you came to it on your own, so you're makir it, you understand it on a more profound level. On the other hand, if you know it from proof, so a guy could come and ask a good kasha tomorrow and suddenly you'll get confused and give up your emunah. So there's a ma'ila of it being rooted inside of you from your b'Mesayra, from your parents, from your grandparents, from your rabbeim, because then no one can ask you kashas. If a guy's kasha, fine, tzarachi and teku. Eliyahu Navi will answer the kasha. But this I know for sure, that there's a Hashem who created the world and who runs the world. On the other hand, there's a chisaron, that it's not as much a part of you. You don't feel it as much as someone who came to it on his own. So Zakta Baal Shem Tov, the ma'ila is when you have both. When you can understand it on our own, and that's what we say, we have irrefutable evidence that we understand that Hashem is the one who created the world and who continues to run the world. And also we have it b'Mesayra, we have both milas. So whenever we discuss about Hashem, we say Hashem Elokai, my Hashem, that I understand on my own that He's my Hashem, Ve'Elokei Avosai, and also it's rooted in me as a Messiah from dar to dar, and that's what we say, Elokeinu Ve'Elokei Avoseinu, not just like the Avrohom to mention the schus avos, but to show that our connection and our emunah in the Rebbeinu Shalom is two-sided. It's firstly because of the emunah that we have a chakira. Maybe firstly we'll start the other way. Firstly, it's rooted in us because of our Messiah, that this is the emes, and also we come to that chakira on our own. We come to understand that Hashem is Elokai, my own personal God. Then we say Riboin kol hamaasim adoin kol haneshamos. That means that Hashem is the owner of everything that He created, and He's the master of all the neshamos. The Avrohom says that we mention neshamos over here because it has to be me'ena chasima. The chasima is going to be hamachzi neshamos. So samach lechasima, the Gemara says you always need to mention me'en the chasima. So therefore we don't just say Hashem owns everything. We say Hashem is the adon of kol haneshamos. The Avrohom actually brings that some people don't say the words Adain Kol HaNeshamas, and he says it's a mistake. You should say Adain Kol HaNeshamas because it has to be Me'en Chasima. But in our Girsa in the Gemara and Brachas and in our Siddurim, we all say that Nusach Adain Kol HaNeshamas, and then the actual Chasima, Baruch Atah Hashem, HaMachazir Neshamas Lifkarim Mesim, that Hashem returns Neshamas to dead bodies. So we say this every day of our lives. What's the Pashup Shat? HaMachazir Neshamas Lifkarim Mesim. What are we saying when we say that Hashem returns neshamas to dead bodies? So there are two pshatim in the Rishayim here, two different pshatim. One is the pshat of the Ri Bar Yakar, the Rebbe of the Ramban, Rabbi Yehuda Bar Yakar, and Rabbeinu Manoach as well. And they say that this is going on Tchias HaMesim. When we say Hamachzir Neshamas Lifkarim Mesim, that means that Hashem will one day, not today, but will one day bring Tchias HaMesim. And that's what we're saying, that the Hashem is the one who is machzir neshamas, who will eventually return the neshamas lifgar mesim, to dead bodies. However, the Avrohom right here says that that's not the pshat in the bracha. We're not talking about lasid lavi now. We're talking about Zakta Avrohom, that it's going on the Hachzaras Neshamis Kol Boiker. Every morning when Hashem wakes us up, we know the Gemara in Brachas that we mentioned, the Avnun Zayin Amid Beis says that sleeping is 1/60th of death. So when Hashem wakes us up every morning, Shechazarta Bi Nishmasi, He gives us back our Neshama, that's 1/60th of Tchias HaMeisim. Hashem is Machzir Neshamis, that's Shechazarta Bi Nishmasi, similar to the Nusach of Maidani. Al Kapanim, according to the Avrohom, it's not going on the future Tchias HaMeisim, it's going on the daily Tchias HaMeisim. So stam and afkamina, what you're supposed to be mechaven when you say this, if you're thinking in that early in the morning, Baruch Atah Hashem, HaMachzir Neshamis, Livgarim Eisim, what thing should we be referring to? But in addition to that, the Kamamish affect the halacha, the taich of these words, and the shaila that's brought down in the Shari Tshuva, not the Shari Tshuva of Rabbeinu Yoina, but the Shari Tshuva that's on the side of the Shulchan Aruch, side of the Mishnah Berurah, in Simin Vav, Sivkatan Vav, the Shari Tshuva brings in the name of the Pri Chadash. Pri Chadash is in Simin Nun Ches, that if let's say someone wasn't able to say Elokai Neshama, or he forgot to say Elokai Neshama, or he was rushed, he didn't say Elokai Neshama in the morning. So when he finishes davening Shemana Esrei, if a person skips some of the Berachas HaShachar because he's rushing, so when you finish davening Shemana Esrei, then you go back. You can't, you're not pater from it. You go back and say the brachas. Zakta Pri Chadash, if a person already said the bracha of Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei HaMeisim in Shemana Esrei, he does not go back to say Elokai Neshama. Shekvar Yotza Beberachas Mechayei Meisim, because he already said that Hashem is the one who will be Mechayei Meisim. So then you don't go back and say Elokai Neshama. Zakta Shari Tshuva, I don't know what the Pri Chadash is talking about. Bracha zu niskana ala hoive. This bracha is not a bracha on Tchias HaMeisim. This is talking about presently. Dahainu shehechzer haneshama achar hashena. D'ta'im ta'amisa. Every night a person tastes 1/60th of death, and then Hashem returns the neshama. So zok the shari tshuva, the fact that you said that Hashem is going to be Mechayei Meisim in the future, that does not exempt you, even b'di'eved, from the bracha of Elokai Neshama, and therefore you have to say Elokai Neshama still. And he's mitzayin the Avrohom. He says, as the Avrohom says in his Pirush and Tefillah, that it's going on, the waking up every single morning. But Hamevin Yavin, that the Pri Chadash is not bothered by this kasha, because the Pri Chadash obviously learned, like the Bar Yakar and Rabbeinu Manayach, that the topic of the bracha of Baruch Atah Hashem, HaMachzir Neshamis Livgarim Eisim, is referring to the Tchias HaMeisim of Lasid Lavoi. So if someone says Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei Meisim, so he made a bracha in Shemana Esrei, the regular takana is to say Elokai Neshama in the morning, and then you say it as part of the Shemana Esrei as well. But if you already were yotzit when you said it in the Shemana Esrei, then the Pri Chadash could say, well, you don't have to go back and say Elokai Neshama, which is really the same content of the bracha. The Shari Tshuva didn't like that because he held, like the other pshat, the pshat of the Avrohom, that Elokai Neshama, when it says Hamachzir Neshamis Livgarim Meisim, it's not referring to the Tchias HaMeisim at all. It's referring to the waking up every morning. The Mishnah Berurah brings down this machlokes. It's in Simin Vav, Sivkatan Yud Beis, and he's not machriya. So it looks like it's a machlokes hapoiskim, a suffix brachas. So with the suffix brachas, the rule is lahakel. If someone is in this situation, say after he daven Shemana Esrei, but pashtus, he should not go back and say Elokai Neshama, which is again like the psak of the Pri Chadash, but not because we paskin vada like the Pri Chadash, but because the Mishnah Berurah says that it's a suffix. And what's interesting is that there's another piece of the Pri Chadash that was in Simin Nun Ches, but in Simin Mevav, the Pri Chadash says that if a person in the middle of Elokai Neshama was spacing out and instead of ending off Baruch Atah Hashem HaMachzir Neshamis Livgarim Meisim, he says Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei HaMeisim Yoytze b'di'eved. And of course, this is the Pri Chadash l'shitasei, that the topic of this bracha, the topic of the chasima, is Tchias HaMeisim. So just like he said, you were yotzei b'di'eved with Shemana Esrei. So if you said the nusach of Shemana Esrei now, you said Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei HaMeisim yotzei b'di'eved. But that's of course only according to Pri Chadash. According to the Shari Tshuva, then the halacha would be that if you said Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei HaMeisim, you should go back right away and say HaMachzir Neshamis Livgarim Meisim, because it's talking about a different point. It's similar, but it's not the same nekuda of the Tchias HaMeisim Lasid Lavoi. It's the Tchias HaMeisim that we experience every day when Hashem returns us our Neshama. Okay.